This video discusses carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide, two potentially hazardous gases that can exist in our homes. We'll go over the risk associated with them and how we can detect them, as well as the indoor air quality problems that can be affected by these gases. Carbon monoxide is a harmful gas that can be introduced into a home based on the incomplete combustion of fossil fuels like wood, oil, natural gas, and propane. Exposure to carbon monoxide can result in sickness and even death. The International Association of Fire Chiefs recommends that carbon monoxide detectors should be placed on every floor of your home, including your basement, and especially within 10 feet of a bedroom door, to alert you in case of a buildup while you're sleeping, which is when most problems and deaths tend to occur. We'll talk about carbon monoxide detectors a little bit later and how they should be maintained and introduced. It's worth mentioning again that seeking to address this invisible and potentially life-threatening issue helps you demonstrate to a homeowner that you're looking out for their safety and health in addition to energy savings. Let's take a look around the house at potential places where carbon monoxide risks might take place. A blocked chimney or fireplace could result in dirty or incomplete combustion process and a potential hazard by leaking carbon monoxide into the home through the walls of the fireplace. A gas or wood-burning fireplace that isn't well maintained or cleaned, or when improper fuel is used like paper and magazines or green wood, can also result in improper burning and carbon monoxide being released into the home. Exhaust pipes from furnaces and heating systems that are cracked or damaged and not working properly are also common sources of carbon monoxide. Clothes dryers and water heaters that are powered by natural gas can be another source, especially if they're older models. Older furnaces have external heat exchangers, and if these are cracked, the exhaust fumes, which are intended to heat air in the house, could potentially be mixed in with carbon monoxide, and the air will be pumped through the house by mistake. Automobiles are a source of carbon monoxide. A garage with a running automobile is a particular hazard to avoid. Operating a barbecue grill close to a house or in the garage is another source to be aware of. An unvented space heater could also be a problem, especially an older kerosene model. An improperly maintained gas oven, range, or cooktop could also be a problem, especially if there is an improperly used or non-functioning vent above the oven. As there are lots of potential sources of carbon monoxide, the easiest thing to keep in mind is that if there's something being burned, there's a potential risk. This is a picture of a gas water heater installed next to a gas furnace. The opening in the furnace ductwork in the center of the picture is sucking in a large volume of air into the furnace when the furnace fan is running. The problem is that the air being sucked into the furnace at this duct can be sucking in all the carbon monoxide that's being released from the combustion in the water heater and distributing it throughout the house. This is a very serious safety concern that should be addressed immediately by improving the source of fresh air that's going into the furnace at a place that's not near the combustion of another device. The best way to deal with carbon monoxide, which is an invisible gas, is a detector. Carbon monoxide detectors are fairly inexpensive, and they can alert the homeowner to the invisible buildup of gas in their home. In some states, they're actually required. In other words, if you're going to sell your home or get it inspected, you're going to be required to install carbon monoxide detectors depending on the types of appliances and furnace that might exist in your home. Adding carbon monoxide detectors in your home is a very inexpensive way to assure the safety of you and your family. There's an excellent video from checkthishouse.com that provides a good overview of carbon monoxide risk and detection, and also talks about some of the details about where to install carbon monoxide detectors. Take a look at that video after you finish this one. Carbon dioxide is a different sort of risk. Many times people confuse carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide, so one of our goals is to help you keep them straight. If you've ever felt sleepy in class, it may not just be because you were out a little bit too late or stayed up too late studying last night. It might actually be because of a buildup of carbon dioxide in a crowded classroom space. Crowded rooms are often where we develop a potential risk of carbon dioxide because we introduce it when we exhale. It's less of a danger than carbon monoxide, but it still poses a risk. The most common course of carbon dioxide being introduced into a space is our exhaling while we're breathing. The buildup of CO2 in a crowded space is really due to poor ventilation. While in some part it could just make you sleepy, there are other significant risks as well as someone being exposed to carbon dioxide over a long period of time. Poor ventilation in a space can create these conditions at home. As an energy leader, noting ventilation issues via homeowner comments or general observation will help you frame the scope of this potential problem. You might not see this condition, but it's worth asking if a home feels stuffy and if the homeowners feel like they're getting enough fresh air. Your leadership skills as a good listener will be very important in this case. This chart presents the potential risks that could be introduced based on different levels of carbon dioxide based on parts per million of CO2 in the air. Low levels affect the ability to concentrate and increasingly affect breathing levels. Over time, increased levels of carbon dioxide reduce the amount of oxygen that's introduced into your bloodstream. Ultimately, this can lead to fairly detectable physical conditions such as unconsciousness and potentially even suffocation and brain damage if the exposure exists over a long period of time. A simple way to monitor carbon dioxide levels is to use a carbon dioxide detector. Some detectors are available that sense both carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. In modern buildings, CO2 detectors are used in potentially crowded spaces. If a buildup of carbon dioxide is detected, they can trigger an increased amount of ventilation into that space. This can help save energy because they're only introducing the right amount of fresh air that we actually need and can avoid unnecessary ventilation that can add to heating and cooling costs. In the case of a crowded home, recommendations for carbon dioxide detectors can be a good suggestion. A way to sense that this is a good idea would be to note a particularly crowded home or a comment from a homeowner that might indicate that they feel there's not enough fresh air or that it's particularly stuffy in a particular room. Carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide detectors are great prizes if you're able to get a few donated from a local home improvement store. They also make awesome Christmas gifts.